see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slip and slide.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3 and 4, working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yes, if we go ran off the track in the final quarter, that'll have Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller through turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try him here, boys. They're going to do it. Briscoe backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Briscoe going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Teston hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to make a run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. Bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw. The road course in Charlotte left some drivers bruised from battle, and the points in the Mission 22 Premier Series reshuffled after 41 circuits of lefts and rights. For week number 5, we'll head to the northeastern town of Loudon, New Hampshire to go back to something a little bit more comfortable. But a return to an oval doesn't mean anyone gets to relax. The last visit to New Hampshire Motor Speedway was clouded with drama, and no one is safe until the checkered flag flies. This is the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series and the New England 100 from New Hampshire. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight for the 5th round of the 2021 Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. Connor, welcome back after a week of road racing, a bit of a vacation for the road racers, but now we head back to an oval, to a 1-mile oval, a very flat, little banked left-hand turning, back to where we were doing the first 4 weeks, Connor, but a return to a track that was clouded in drama from last season.
Yeah, drama just doesn't even begin to describe how that race went last season with the incident on the backstretch and what carried into, more drama after the race. That's not what we're here to talk about, obviously, though. We're here to talk about hopefully another great race at New Hampshire, because this track can produce really good hard-knuckle racing. Races like a short track. It basically is a short track at the same time, and it's really, obviously, one of the flattest tracks, if not the flattest track on the NASCAR schedule. Really tough to pass, but you might have to use the bumpers every now and then to get a pass done. It's going to be wild racing, I believe.
I just noticed a mistake with my track information. This track was constructed in the year 5317. It's from the future, everybody. Loud, New Hampshire. No, not from the future. It's from the past. As we get prepared for a 100-lap race here tonight, there is a whole lot we got to talk about. We've got a pretty full grid, over 30 drivers taking on New Hampshire here this evening. Got some keys to the race we'll go over in just a little bit, but first up is qualifying. Right now we've got 3 minutes left, and at the top of the board, it's Shane Terry at number 83 with a 30.81. As we take a look at the points coming into the night, Shane Terry lost his points lead last week at the Charlotte Roval to Riley Thompson, the driver that won last week. Bronson Stafford up 6 spots. Alan Elwood up 6 spots to be 3rd and 4th, and Michael Stroll in 5th. Finney DeCuna down 5 after a disastrous showing in Charlotte, looking for a rebound. He has struggled with pace this week, though, buried down in 22nd here in qualifying. So with 3 minutes left here in qualifying, Connor, does anybody on this list pique your interest?
Really no one specifically. I'm kind of surprised Thomas Bress is up there in 2nd, although he has had good runs in the past. Not a track where I expected him to really be battling potentially for a win, so he kind of piques my interest. Justin Munsel's up there in 7th. Kind of surprising run for him. And Really, the only one that really points out to me is Shea and Terry, and he's a 30.809. He's way faster than anyone else in the room, and we usually don't see this guy dominate races. He's usually one that just gets consistent finishes. This could be the day where he absolutely dominates.
So open qualifying, as always, here at the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, and it's worked out pretty nicely here. Everyone's got a little bit of track to use. They've had to space out their efforts just a little bit because this track can feel a little claustrophobic with over 30 drivers on it. Having a look here at the weather today, it's a little bit toasty out there, Connor. 108 degrees on the racetrack, and it's only going to get hotter throughout the day. So we got to watch those tire temps, especially when you're scraping them through the little degrees of banking that we have here at New Hampshire. You're going to really struggle to keep tires under your car if you're sliding around a whole bunch.
I mean, you can't afford to slide around. You're really going to be struggling on exit. That wall on the exits to turns 2 and 4, it just comes out and jumps right at you sometimes. You got to really be careful. And if you miss that outside wall, and if you're still loose, you're likely to hit that inside wall as well, or the tire barriers off of turn 2. So you do have to be careful. Another thing that's going to come into play is how you're going to brake into these corners. A very flat corner, obviously. Are you going to go hard on the brakes? You're going to put a bit more rear brake in it to get more rotation. There's a lot of options on how you want to get into a corner. It's just a matter of preference, and if you get it wrong, you're likely spinning around.
Denny Ware going around at the exit of turn number 4, currently 12th in qualifying. Zach Buchanan back this week in the number 40 Project 2 machine, looking for a bit of a rebound. Remember, his race at the Roval ended in a crash, retaliation crash down into turn number 1. Back and ready for business with quite the livery he's got on that car this week. That's something, to say the least. And I think he's got the name scrawled in crayon above the door on the top of that windowsill. So Buchanan run 11th right now in his Toyota.
Yeah, he did a really good job last week. He had an awesome run, top 5 run. Just unfortunate that the incident, I believe it was with Cameron Hearn, happened. It was a bit aggressive. I'm trying to see if Cameron Hearn's here. I don't know if he is. Maybe he's avoiding something happening this week. He's likely just not able to be here. It was an unfortunate incident, but the 40 still should come in here with momentum. He had a really good run. He's been fast all season long, and there's no reason he should feel down about the finish last week. I think he'll come back with a really good run today.
No, he was really strong and could have finished top 10, maybe even top 5 had things gone his way. So he's working his way down the back straightaway. At the top of the board, you mentioned Thomas Bressi. He is rocking a brand new livery tonight in that number 24 car. So as soon as he gets back out on the racetrack, we'll get a chance to show that to you this afternoon. Also, Casey Shu as a new sponsor for tonight, and I'm trying to find where he is on the racetrack. Looks like he is currently in 18th, and you'll see Raise Energy on the side of that car, a new energy drink. He's got a discount code for their website, and on the back of his car, you can see it right there. Schubert9 is the discount code for 15% off on repsports.com. I'm not an energy drink drinker myself, Connor. I don't dislike them. I just don't. They're not one of my things I always do, but I might have to give that a try. Really cool to see a real sponsor here in the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series supporting these drivers.
And not just an actual sponsor here. It's obviously a very, a sporty livery as well. It looks really sick. The blue and green goes well together. And like you said, I'm not an energy drinker either. I usually just go with, normal caffeine or something different. But that's definitely something I'll give a try. It looks very interesting and very nice to see a sponsor like that actually coming into a sim racing series. And hopefully he can give them a good showing.
Pretty cool stuff. Qualifying is complete. 100 laps today, 100 miles, Connor. But this is not a straightforward racetrack. There's a lot of different ways you can construct a 1-mile oval. And this is by far the most standard of them. Now, not a lot of banking to play with. But that doesn't mean this track isn't interesting. It's got a very strong middle groove. And we'll talk about the keys of the race here in just a moment. But let's first go through our starting lineup and working on this graphic, trying to get this working for a couple weeks. Hopefully it's going to work today. It does. Shane Terrian rolls off first alongside Thomas Bressi in that 24. Riley Thompson, recent winner, rolls off alongside Alan Elwood in that number 5 car in row number 2. Then in row number 3, Nick Massey in 5th alongside Braxton DeWeese in 6th in that number 1 car. Zach Buchanan and Justin Munsell, 7th and 8th, Connor.
Then we get to the back end of the top 10. Brad Slaughter Jr. and Zach Passon, 2 very fast drivers. And then Michael Stroll, runner-up in the points last season, right alongside that 19 of Danny Ware. As you go to the 7th row here, Davey Hendricks alongside the series admin himself, Will Roberts. And then behind him on the next row, Hayden Pastorius, obviously a really fast driver. Bronson Stafford in 16th. He's actually struggled a bit. Then Boomer Logan, Casey Shu with that new sponsor. Then Tyler Hensley and Sam Crow rounding up the top 20.
And moving on back to 21st, it's Tom Bourne in the 84 car. Then Finny DeCuna rolls off in 22nd. Had a great start to the season. It started to downtrend last week at the Roval, looking for a rebound. Ryan Kish starts 23rd. Casey Lakatos 24th in the number 50 Sim Motorsports car. Sarah Tesson 25th alongside Chad Simpson in 26th. Then Calvin Filarski and Robert Kenny in 27th and 28th. Last couple rows here, Mike Rigney, John Van Varelis in row number 15, then Brent Jones, David Mott in 31st and 32nd. That's the rest of the field. 32 cars here. Connor, keys to the race. A couple of them to take note of. Track position, Connor, it's hard to pass here.
It's definitely going to be hard to pass here. We talked about it right before the stream started. It's going to be very difficult to get under someone. You might want to try passing on the outside. It's going to get difficult. You might want to have to use the bumpers here.
Hot under the helmets. Not only do you have to watch out for drivers that are maybe a little bit upset, maybe have some scores to settle after last week. It's also hot on the racetrack, 110 degrees down there on the racing surface. The track is going to be hot and slick all afternoon. And then you mentioned it, Connor, use the bumpers, question mark? Are you willing to move people out of the way this early in the season? Is it worth it or not? I think we're going to find that out a little bit later today.
I think it's going to be interesting to see who's willing to do what they have to do. All those keys kind of are kind of linked to each other. It's tough to get past this track position is important. How do you get that track position if you can't pass? You might have to use the bumpers, and when you use the bumpers, you're going to get probably very upset. The guys getting bumped are going to get upset, and they're probably going to bump you back. We're going to see drivers go into the wall. Another quick key to the race we might have to think about. I heard Thomas Bresson, he was actually shifting on his qualifying lap, and he qualified second. Well, Shane Terrian was only in fourth gear on the pole, so we might see some different gear options here today.
Time to go racing for the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, the New England 100 from New Hampshire. Shane Terrian on that front row. Green flag flies, and round number 5 of the 2021 Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series is green. Shane Terrian leads the way into turn 3. Bressie falls in line into second. Then Riley Thompson and Elwood side by side for third. Watch everybody aiming for that middle groove here, Connor, trying to carry as much momentum as possible. That middle groove is where everyone wants to be. They have to make sure they're not running over each other to get it.
And those guys who are on the bottom, they have nothing to work with. They have a little backing on the bottom, but if you get too low, that inside line is completely flat. And if you get down there, you're going to lose a lot of track position like Riley Thompson is right now.
Well, it's a big mess back here for about 7th. That's Justin Munsell in that Raycon number 98 Toyota Supra. He's got Zach Buchanan and Braxton Deweese to his outside.
Oh, spinner on the backstretch. Someone went around and they might have hit the tire barriers. Boomer Logan brings out the yellow.
Caution out, lap number 2. Boomer Logan in a new livery here. Not a lot of damage I see to that car, but early yellow flag for a spin at the exit of turn number 2. Let's go back and have a look at it. He gets together with
Tyler Hensley.
Tyler Hensley in that 44 car, yep.
And it's a little spin there. I don't think anyone got really any damage out of that.
Yeah, he's going to come up off the corner. The 44 gave him a bit of a tap there, and then, oh man, they had to. It's hard to judge, Connor. They just had it coming together there, but I bet you one of them won't be too happy about that.
Yeah, I don't think Logan will be too happy. He got the bumper. He really checked up. He was on the apron here, so he's really not getting a good run off. Gets into the bumper here. Hensley gets under him. 85 kind of turned low. I think he was trying to avoid Finian and make sure he didn't run into the 94 on the top, and the 44 was already down there.
So early caution flag. I don't think we'll see anybody hit pit lane here. It wouldn't feel very smart to me to come down this early in the race. So it looks like everybody is going to stay out on the racetrack for now. So going back to the keys to the race, use the bumpers. One of those is checked off. Track position, already checked off that one too. No one came to pit lane early. A couple drivers towards the back. Chad Simpson will peel off. Ryan Kish. No, Kish stays out. It's Tom Bourne in the 84 that will come on down. Bring Hensley, Simpson, and a few others. Might as well towards the rear.
Interesting to see if anyone's getting tires or just putting some fuel in it. You really never know, because three sets of tires, and these tires are going to get 8 up in 100 laps. You kind of want to use like one set every 30 laps or so, and I think everyone's just going to take fuel and maybe get some damage repaired, because you do not want to waste a set this early when they won't make a difference.
That probably won't make much of a difference, only 2 laps in. I'm curious to see what the tire wear is going to look like towards the end of the night. Once we kind of get this track rubbered in, whether that wear will come down at all. But in the meantime, the front runners will all stay out on the racetrack. Terrian in front. Again, lost the points lead at the Roval. So we know road racing isn't his strong suit potentially. But, Connor, if you have a look at where we're going this season, there's only one other road course on the schedule. That's Sonoma on March 16th. we're pretty much doing ovals for most of the year, and that is a good thing for Shane Terrian.
Yeah, definitely a good thing. And even then, he had a strong run. It's not like he was at the very back of the pack. He was solidly fighting for a top 10 all race long, and he avoided incidents. He was able to avoid multiple crashes that happened ahead of him and behind him. So even though he's not the fastest at the road courses, and Riley Thompson and others might have the edge on him there, he can still get a decent finish by just avoiding everything and staying on track, which is just something that's always key to do at a road course. So he's no slouch.
Going to reshuffle the deck and go again for a second attempt at a green flag here. This is not a very long race, 100 laps at New Hampshire. If we go green from start to finish, that's 57 minutes from now we'll conclude the race, which is just after 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Terrian and Bresci will be our front row once again for the restart. Elwood jumps to third. Thompson lost a few spots. He will restart in fourth. Field climbs out of turn number 4. Green flag in the hands of the starter. We'll try this again. Lap number 6. Green flag back in the air for fuel. Elwood up the inside for second on Thomas Bresci with an outside line. Should prevail here, Connor, once we get the field strung out just a little bit. But right now, it's going to be a lot of shuffling. Drivers getting alongside on the restart.
And Elwood was able to get the third. That slide job is going to come into play as well. You get clear from the outside line from making a pass on the inside line. You're going to slide up as quickly as possible, and that can cause stack-ups as well. As we see the top two trying to pull away, Terrian and Bresci all over each other.
Zach Buchanan jumping up to 5th spot on the outside in that number 40 car. And Nick Massey on the inside of Buchanan now with Justin Munsell following. Aiming for that middle groove. Massey struggling with the connection there just a little bit. Can't have that happen too much or he'll get booted. Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 8th spot in that number 81. He started this race in 9th and battling for that spot with Braxton DeWeese to his outside.
I think everyone's just giving Nick Massey a little bit of room. You blink like that, usually no one wants to get around you, so he might get pulled off the track here as we see Brad Slaughter, almost get the bump from DeWeese there as they battle for, I believe, the 8th position.
A couple drivers just tagging the wall with the quarter panels here. And Massey is spooking Buchanan and Munsell just a little bit. I'm curious if there's any chatter in the session right now, Connor, if they're asking if he should get out of the way. And I think we'll see him potentially be told or removed forcefully if he doesn't alleviate that issue.
His quality's gone down, and he has been being told to get off the track, and he's going low here. Won't get off the track here, but yes, everyone has been talking to chat. Specifically, Will Roberts actually did say something, so he might get pulled off here.
Has not yet heeded that warning. Up front, no changes. Terrian still leads by about 0.4 of a second over Bresci. Elwood, Riley Thompson, and Nick Massey, who again will have to relinquish some of these spots to get out of the way of these competitors. Munsell and Buchanan can't figure out who wants to be right behind him, but Munsell is going to try to surge ahead here, but nowhere to go with the 40 car boxing him in.
And nowhere for the 20 to go. Now he's going to pull off and get to the bottom. He's going to pull off the pit road, and he might call it a day. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely unfortunate. He was running good.
Was running well inside the top 5, in fact, so he will come and hit pit lane, see if he can get the internet gods to prefer him. The 19 car, Danny Ware, way up the racetrack. Wow, wobbling through all the way through turn 1, just could not find any rear grip, and behind them is the 54 car, Davey Hendricks, also hanging that rear end out quite a bit.
He is hanging that right front out. You see the damage on the fender there. As you can see Will Roberts going way high out of the main groove. That groove works maybe in the Utechnics NASCAR games. It won't work on iRacing. There's just nothing up there. You want to be in that middle. You want to have a smooth run out of the corner.
Side by side with the 9 of Hayden Pistorius, and then Casey Shu with that new sponsor, Raise Energy, on board. Following from behind, there's a Raise Energy on board.
And you see, this is the danger of being in the back of the pack in New Hampshire. There's nowhere to go. You got 2 lanes. There's really only 1 lane here, and you got 2 lanes, you know, kind of just here. It's kind of like Darlington. If you see someone on that bottom lane, you're trying to get to the outside lane as quick as possible to get around them and kind of box them out of the rest of the field. But he's going to go to the inside of Will Roberts here.
And notice the downshift through the middle of 3 and 4. Now, every time we see drivers downshifting at ovals, it tends to create more problems than it solves because it's difficult to downshift cars in the middle of a corner. That's why when you're road racing, here's a great look at the right front suspension here. When you're road racing, you downshift in a straight line. And when you do it on the ovals, Connor, you're downshifting into corner.
Whoa, sorry. Justin Munsell got into, I think that was Brad Slaughter, and Slaughter's got to take a base of action on the road course.
Well, I was looking at a totally different incident. We saw a car hit the fence. That was Sam Crow at the exit of turn 2. Brad Slaughter also made contact. Yeah, right here. Crowded him up into the fence and just took a hard left. And
wow.
Glad that pavement was there, but he's going to drop all the way down to 25th.
That could have been a way bigger incident, though, if he came back onto the track way earlier. I don't know how they hooked down the back straightaway, but definitely lucky that it wasn't a big one. I didn't even see the other incident. I was too focused on someone getting turned down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Sam Crow got the fence at the exit of turn 2, got that car up airborne for a moment. But it looks like that car should be able to continue. On board now with Braxton DeWeese in the number 1 Chevrolet running 7th.
Everyone just trying to find their way through the pack here. This is the point of the run where it's already starting to get single file. As you can see, the only side-by-side battles for, I believe, the 14th position. Will Roberts, Casey Shoe still going at it. Everyone's just trying to find their way into the, into the pack. Wherever they file out, they just kind of got to stay there and start tire saving a little bit. This gets into a long green flag run.
Will Roberts defending from Casey Lakatos in the number 50 car, running a Grid Life Touring Cup inspired livery. This is off of GLTC car number 14, a mule tabs. Honda-powered Mazda Miata that will be seen at Circuit of the Americas in a couple weeks at the first Grid Life Touring Cup event of the year. I'll be live commentating that from Circuit of the Americas. Make sure you find or follow Super Lap Battle on YouTube. That's where that stream will be held. And on the outside, Will Roberts trying to hang on to the spot. That's for 15th. And Tom Bourne, the player 1 car, following in 17th.
Roberts just is having a hard time keeping it down. He always slides up in the middle of the corner. He does a better job there, but he's been losing a lot of time in the center of the corner because he just cannot get that car to turn. He's one of those guys trying to shift out of a corner and just not working. Lakatos got a big run on him.
And into turn 1. See if Lakatos can make the short way work. He is not. Will Roberts goes all the way up the racetrack, and he's going to give a spot up, maybe 2, maybe 3. Here comes Finian DeCuna in the number 94. We documented his struggles. He actually started the season great, but then at the Roval, it all went backwards. Ended up having a pretty big crash, not getting the result he needed, and dropped 5 spots in the standings. And today, struggling for pace just a little bit, 22nd to 18th, but on an upward climb.
Yeah, finishing 14th after the damage he got, the crash he got, was actually kind of a miracle, but he did lose points. He didn't lose too many points to Shane Tarrant, who was the leader, but a lot of other people gained on him. He fell way back in the points, but he's still in the battle in that mid-pack, in that chase, so he's definitely not out of it at all. He's still definitely a contention, but I think he's going to have to do a little bit better than 17th. He's struggling a little bit so far.
Roberts dropping backwards. There's Ryan Kish in the number 12 Toyota Supra, working the bottom of that number 3 Duluth Trading Company Chevrolet of Will Roberts. And Tyler Hensley, one of the JT Motorsports crew, right now sprinkling all the way throughout the field. Bresci, the leader of that group, running in 2nd. Then it's Casey Shoe in 14th, and then Hensley all the way down in 20th. So a pretty good spread on the field as Kish and Roberts try to duke it out for 18th.
It just squeezes up right in front of him. Bit of a slide job there. That's what you have to do to get into that preferred middle line, as Will Roberts just has nothing to fight with. Now Hensley's going to be the next one to kind of try to struggle a little bit and get under him and clear him. Maybe at a turn 4 he's pushing the issue. I don't think he'll be able to do it, but Roberts does not get the best of runs.
Tom Bourne slid right in front of Casey Lakatos at the exit of turn 4. And fun note about Casey Lakatos, he's actually running the graphics card that was in my streaming rig for a couple months. Got a 2070 Super in there. And straightened him well the last couple days. Bourne up to 15th spot now. Some battles going on inside the top 5. Riley Thompson dealing with some pressure from behind from Zach Buchanan. Car on pit lane, Calvin Filarski into a box and missed his box. I don't know if this is scheduled or not. Seems really early to me, but no sense of urgency there out of that 2 car. He's out of it. He's out of the car too.
Yeah, it's like they're just going to call it a day. I think he is an admin, so he might just be going on admin duties as we're seeing these top 10 battles start to shape up. Everyone really bunched up in single file in this pack, and also the back of the pack as Davey Hendricks is getting past Kane Pastorius, battle for 12th there.
Davey Hendricks, oh man, real tight with the 9 at the exit of turn 4, and Casey Shoe's got a great view of this as we come down the front straightaway. Skittles on the outside, Mountain Dew on the inside. This is the Sweet Tooth 100 right here with Skittles, Mountain Dew, and Raise Energy all nose to tail here as they come out of turn 2.
Yeah, these 2 cars are about to hit each other and make a new flavor, a Skittle or Mountain Dew. I don't know which one.
Taste the rainbow down into turn 3.
It's about to get ugly at some point, or maybe well tasting. I don't know, but Pastorius is trying to push him up as far as he can. We got contact in the back. Someone's going around who's able to save it. That was Ryan Kish who almost got spun.
Ryan Kish hangs on to it as we watch that battle for 12th place. Not done yet. They're going to rub down into turn number 1. Hendricks goes way up the fence. And here comes KZ Shu up the middle, 3 wide, stomps on the brakes to get out of that one. That was a tight spot to be in. Bourne will take advantage of it.
Yeah, that was never going to work 3 wide there. Pistorius just kind of decided, hey, I'm taking this spot now, and he's going into 12. Bit of a physical move. We talked about using bumpers, maybe using fenders are going to be used as well, as we got drivers leaning on each other already. That's Brad Slaughter Jr. trying to get back through the field, just leaning on Robert Kenny.
Yeah, I think he's seeing through the red mist right now, just charging forward, trying to recoup the spots that he lost after contact with Justin Munsell, who is currently still in 6th. So long ways to go for Brad Slaughter Jr. And it's been an interesting season for Brad so far. 9th in the standings so far this season. His finishes have been 17th, 10th, 8th, and 9th.
And another, these two 34-81 dooring down the back straightaway. They were at a turn 2. This could get kind of ugly. People are already starting to lose their patience because they see how hard it is to pass. Got the 81 getting so tight under the 34 if Kenny just can't make it work.
Got a long way to go, guys. We're only a quarter of the way through the race, so again, reserve those bumpers maybe for later. Will Roberts dives up the inside. He dropped backwards very quickly and is now trying to claw his way back forward on the inside of David Mott Jr. for 22nd. And up ahead of them, you see Lakatos, and I think, is that Tyler Hensley? Yes, it is. That's for 17th spot.
Hensley's going to dive it in. Lakatos might have just given it to him there. He's going to have room to slide up maybe and get that position. And then Lakatos going to wrap the outside pretty well, but the 44 has the positioning, and he's going to be able to take that spot. And Ryan Kish is trying to follow back.
A lot of deep in the pack battles going on, but how about for 6th place? Here comes Michael Stroll, the number 8 car, runner-up from last season, running in 7th. He would like a spot in that Hershey's number 8.
You see how tough it is to get that car to rotate on the bottom. If you're running the bottom, you kind of want to use that apron part, that really flat part of the track that gets some rotation, but it's just really hard to work, especially when you're trying to get out of the corner in 3rd gear like I believe Stroll is right now.
Into turn 1, driving in deep carb, took a big lateral slide. That was almost a touch there. Justin Munsell left just enough space that they got out of there without touching, but that was awful close.
And this is how much one battle can lose you time. Look how far back they are from Zach Buchanan now. The top 5 starting to pull away, and these guys are getting really stacked up behind Munsell here. Stroll's going to take another look to the inside. Now he's got Braxton DeWeese, Zach Pass, and Danny Ware all over them.
You can see the transition of the banking on that bottom groove, Connor. You lose a lot of that banking, and the car just slams down and pushes when you get on that bottom groove. So there's a delicate balance to be had as to what line you run in order to kind of maximize momentum versus the short way around. Munsell running up the racetrack a little bit, but he's got a bit of a stack up forming behind him with Stroll, DeWeese, and passing.
And with, green flag pit stops, you never know when they might strike. And you see those guys come up behind you. Michael Stroll starts to figure, I kind of got to go. He sees the guys getting away from him, and he's going to say, I really got to go. He's getting as close to that left rear as he can without hitting him. He's trying to make the clean pass, but it's getting really tough to get under him even. He's not even able to get under him.
No battle out front. Shane Terrian still leads Thomas Bressie by 7.5 tenths of a second. Battle right now for 6th is heating up. And Braxton DeWeese running in that number 1 car, the Zimmerman Concrete Company sponsored Chevrolet Camaro, in 8th after starting in 6th, so he's dropped a few spots. But Braxton currently 11th in the standings. Last week at the Roval finished 12th. His best finish, Rockingham, that was a 3rd 2 weeks ago.
He had a good shot at winning that race, just didn't come into fruition with him. He's had a really solid season to start out, and it's only getting better from here. I think everyone's in the same spot where they're getting really, really frustrated. The only person who isn't frustrated is probably Shane Terrian because he's got clean air. He's got no one ahead of him until Nick Massey, who's out of turn number 4. Although, saying that, Thomas Bressy's kept a decent pace with him. Alan Elwood's starting to show some pace as well. He gained a 10th on the leader that time.
Alan Elwood has had pace every single week, but he just hasn't really been able to capitalize as much as we maybe thought. He's currently 4th in the standings. He did win back at Rockingham, but we knew he was fast at Daytona, 25th there. Fast at Auto Club, finished 32nd there. 2nd at the Roval. About 8 tenths back from the eventual winner of that race. So Elwood is trending in the right direction for sure, and he's gotten every spot in the podium except for 3rd. Here is Stroll on Munsell. This almost is complete, but they're still going to drag race down the backstretch.
See how far Stroll sends it here. If he's seeing red, he sends it very far. The 98 tries to do the same thing. He's going to try to slide up and push him up the track. And the 98 goes up the track. The 8's going to get a good run. He's just almost clear. He's going to have to slide up right in there, and he's finally able to make that pass for 6th. Whereas the 98's going to give him a celebratory, maybe a celebratory bump down the front straightaway.
Well, that was a little sketchy the way he got him in the right rear corner there. Braxton DeWeese following as we see the car alert for the downshift for the 8 of Michael Stroll, and DeWeese now on the back of the Raycon Super. Great run at the exit of turn 2. Look at the drive off of the 1.
Man, that was crazy. I think the Weiss wanted to go to the outside, and the Weiss, he didn't really have the room. He's going to go to the bottom. He go for the slide job, just barely gets in front of the 98. So Munsell kind of struggling on the older tires here as Braxton DeWeese gets by, and Chad Simpson just lagged out. He was in the 29th position, or at least he was when he lagged out, so that's another driver down.
That's a shame. Nick Massey back in 25th. Seems like his connection has stabilized and working over Sarah Tessum here for 26. Couple drivers back here. Sam Crow in the 7. Got some damage early. Brent Jones, the back of that kind of bubblegum and banana-colored number 89. For 7th place, Munsell lost that spot to DeWeese, and right behind him, Zach Passon in the 69, Purdue Foods car, and Danny Ware in the orange and white Supra. Elwood Designs on that machine.
We just had a save in the back of the pack. Not sure. I think it was Brad Slaughter Jr. got to the back of Case Lakatos. Almost a big wreck there, but they were able to save it and keep it going.
Let's go back and see. Catch that. Yeah, Slaughter got in there a little bit hot. Lakatos jams on the throttle to try to hang on to it. Does a great job there. And for position for 4th, Buchanan and Thompson getting a little scrappy here.
Buchanan's going to let him back by. I don't think he meant to do that. He's going to let him back by. I think he wants to pass him the right way because I think he could have easily kept that position, but he gave it back to Thompson.
Yeah, drives off into turn 3, throttles up, and just tags the 56. And that was a gentlemanly thing to do. And I'm a little bit surprised, not that Buchanan did that, just after last week he got so used up, I would have thought his patience would run out. But he's going to try to do this again. Danny Ware just got by Zach Passon for 9th, or at least he's completed that pass. Going back up to 4th place.
Sorry about that. Yeah, the top 10 are pretty much away from the rest of the pack. 10th place, Danny Ware is 7 seconds back of the leader. Then it's 4 more seconds back to Tom Bourne, who's gotten away from the rest of the field back there in 11th, as they still battle hard for 12th on back. Bronson Stafford, the next one to get by Pistorius. Pistorius starting to back up to everyone, including Davey Hendricks, who we had a bit of contact with. So things are getting really wild in the mid-pack as the Hendricks is going to slide up and stay out of the left rear of Pistorius through that time.
Bressy and Alan Elwood fighting for 2nd. Elwood's going to get up alongside, and behind them, Riley Thompson and Buchanan still not done fighting amongst themselves for 3rd spot. For 2nd, Bressy makes a mistake at the exit of turn 4, and Elwood not quite able to capitalize, but he's there.
And I don't think this is Bressy falling back. He's kept a decent 6 to 7/10 7/10 of a second gap behind Shane Terry. And this 5 of Alan Elwood just saved his tires really well, and now he's on the charge trying to use the last bit of those tires up.
Elwood was quicker than the race leader last time by, as was Thomas Bressy. But Elwood quicker than the 24. Not able to complete this pass, though. It's so hard to do on the bottom. You need a better run than that.
That or use the bumpers, but obviously he's not willing to use them just yet, or else he would have done it immediately. He sees the leader, and he probably knows that he's faster than the leader because of how quickly he caught him. He was 2 seconds back, down below a second now, so I don't know if he knows time's running out, but I know he wants that lead. Meanwhile, Bronson Stafford hits from the 12th position.
Bronson Stafford hit pit lane. That could be a scheduled stop here as Elwood goes up the inside again of the 24, and I think Buchanan tried to do the same on Thompson. Not quite able to get fully alongside. The 5-car slides right in front of Bressy. Completes it, they touch.
Oh, he hit the wall. They kind of saw that coming. Elwood tried everything he could to slide up in front of Bressy, and he just slid up too much, and that hurt the 24 more than it did the 5.
Yeah, here's another look at it in slow motion. The 5-car just commits to this throttling up and clearing a move, and Bressy could have lifted here a little bit, but he stays in it.
I think he did. I think he did try to lift a little bit. He might have gotten into him there, actually. Might have to look at the bumper from bumper Bressy cam, but he might have gotten in there. He might have put him in the wall.
Here's a look at it from on board Thomas Bressy's machine. Does he tag the back of the 5?
No contact. Elwood just had that little bit of a wiggle that sent them to the fence. They would have been fine, but Elwood just got that little bit loose, and Bressy just had nowhere to go.
Well, move the spot up 1 for Elwood, down 1 for Bressy. Thompson and Buchanan, they're still going at it for 4th. Riley Thompson's season going well so far. The current points leader coming into the night, winner from the Charlotte Roval. A 2nd at Auto Club, 14th at Rockingham and Daytona. But when he's been up front, he has been a force to be reckoned with. And it's about time that he started to really shine. He's been around fuel for a while, Connor, and just hasn't had the consistency he's needed. But I think this might be his year as we got Finney DeCuna going by Davey Hendricks. I got to say, DeCuna's climb forward is going pretty well. 22nd to 13th. Wasn't confident in his ability here tonight, but continuing to charge forward, picking them off 1 by 1.
But he's doing a good job so far. Got a few more positions left to go to get into the top 10. Not too far ahead is 11th place Tom Board, and Pistorius next on his list as well. I think we were talking about Riley Thompson. This is about time he starts to show his muscles here in the points battle. He's up there for sure, leading the points going into this race. Got a bump. Ryan Kish just got sent into turn number 3, meanwhile, by Kenny. But the Tylerson has had a good start to the season, and this could be a championship run for him.
I think Kish just threw a block on Kenny, and it didn't go the way I think he wanted it to. Let's go back again a little farther and watch this at the back straightaway here. The 34 is going to cut left. I think the 12 car, oh, I thought he threw a block. He didn't. 34 just drove into the back of him.
Well, the 12 went, that's not a block, though. That's called the 12 went down immediately. That's protecting the line. There's a difference between protecting the line you want and blocking. That was protecting his line. Kenny didn't want any of it. He wanted to go.
I think he just miscalculated that braking zone. Look at the 12 car sailing into turn 3. I think he wants to get back to that 34 car. I wonder why. Casey Shute following.
One thing that's going to come into play on these pit stops is when people catch lap traffic, specifically the leader, Shane Tarrant, about to catch a few drivers. Brent Jones, Sam Crow, Sarah Tessum, and Brett Slaughter Jr. not too far up the road. Slaughter must have gotten another incident or something.
Clouds coming over the speedway as well. The track temperature is dropping. That might make people a little bit more comfortable to make passes as the grip levels rise. Their problem is they're sort of netting out 0 here because of the tires wearing out over the course of this run. Stroll and Munsell, this is for 7th. Braxton DeWeese has gotten by both of them, and now they're right back fighting for this position like they were a couple laps ago.
98 might have been saving a little bit extra. That or Stroll went a little bit too early and is starting to fall back a little bit. One thing I'm kind of worried about, when you have to when you're shifting to get speed like Thomas Bresci is, you might have to watch out when you get front end damage for over revving that engine and eventually blowing that engine, because those engines get hot when you rev them like that constantly out of every turn. You might have to watch it.
Yeah, keep an eye on this display on the bottom right of your screen. You'll see the speed and the gear indicator. You see how he's going up between 3rd and 4th gear. This is a challenging thing to do at an oval. Thomas Bresci's a road course racer. He knows how to shift properly, but it's hard to do mid-corner. You see the car kind of lurch and drive up the racetrack there. Really easy to do this wrong just once, and all it takes is once to mess up your entire day.
Yeah, I've done it before. It kills any race you're in, whether it's a fun race or an official race or a league race. It can absolutely kill your run, completely kill your day, and it's very dejecting when you do that. But once you master it and do it a few times at a few tracks like this track, it can really get easy, and you can make up a lot of time when you master it.
Well, here's Shane Tarrant, your current race leader. He's led every lap so far. He's got Alan Elwood right behind him. He's run him down through the lap traffic. And Shane Tarrant might take this as an opportunity to get into pit lane before that 5 car passes him, or he might want to hold him up a little bit before they all come to pit road. But I'd bet that they're going to pit right at the halfway point and extend the length of time that they've got those good tires for.
Yeah, they're in position for halfway points, so I think they're definitely going to stay out until the end of lap 50 to likely get those halfway points. Tarrant can kind of extend his point lead potentially, but I'm very surprised by the speed Elwood still has. He hit the wall. I'm almost positive he did tap it a little bit, but it didn't slow him down at all. He's ran down this 83 machine, and he is way faster, but can he make a clean pass this time?
Doesn't have any damage on that car, despite the contact that he had with Thomas Bresci. I don't see any damage on his machine, so it looks like Bresci got the worst of that 2-car incident there.
One thing that's going to become a problem, a lot of drivers who have already hit pit lane, and also the lap cars that are going through the rest of the field. Like Robson Stafford's coming through the leaders right now. Zach Cannon, Riley Thompson still battling, as Thompson's actually going to build a block on Bronson Stafford. They might go 3 wide into turn number 3. That's going to be tough, but Stafford makes it work.
A little bit dicey here, 3 wide. Lap cars on the inside and outside of Riley Thompson. Buchanan going to try to follow somewhere. Nowhere really to go. For the top spot, Terrian running out of tire and Elwood running out of time to get those halfway points for leading at the halfway break.
Now, the 5, Elwood's going to have a decision to make. Do you stay out and get the at least second place points for halfway, or do you pit right before the points are given out so you can get that overcut on the 83 and get the lead away?
I think you got to stay out. Looks like Thomas Bresci's going to hit pit lane. No, he's going to give up a chance for halfway points and try to use that undercut. So Bresci hits pit lane from 3rd. A little bit surprised at that. I thought he'd want to point race this one a little bit more, but if you win races, Connor, it all takes care of itself. And that's a strategy that Bresci's going for. But battle for the race lead next time by. 1 to go here in the first half of this race.
Yeah, I don't see, unless he uses the bumper, I don't think Elwood can get by him. He's had a good run on the top. He's trying to cut under him, but just can't make it work. He can't get any positioning on him to make it work, but he's going to try his best for sure. These two are way ahead of the rest of the field now. 5 seconds back to Riley Thompson.
Next time by, halfway points pay out. Terrian in control. He's been nice, calm, cool, and collected. Justin Munsell hits pit lane from 7th. Looks like Finian DeCuna still out on the racetrack. He advances up to 10th. And turns 3 and 4, halfway points for Shane Terrian and Alan Elwood and the rest of the top 5 here, all the way back to Braxton DeWeese in the number 1. Elwood is close, but no cigar. Terrian leads at halfway in the New England 100.
Elwood's going to get 2nd, then he get all the way back to 3rd. Riley Thompson, Zach Buchanan, Braxton DeWeese, Michael Stroll side by side with a lap car, then Danny Ware, Zach Passon, and then I think Tom Bourne's going to get 9th, and Munsell is coming out of the pits. I think Finian might have gotten 10th. Yes,
yeah,
he did.
Finian DeCuna in 10th. Elwood now going for the lead, so Shane Terrian can't hit pit lane. He's got the 5 car to his inside.
Sorry to distract you. This would be a perfect time for Elwood to pit, but I don't think he's going to. He wants the lead now.
Yeah, I think the other thing that Terrian is doing is he could give this up and pit, but Elwood's faster right now, so if he makes Elwood work really, really hard, he's slowing Elwood down and reducing the opportunity for him to run quick laps out front, laps that could be quicker later. Now he's going to tuck back in line, and I'll bet you the 83 hits pit lane this time by. Some cars coming on by. There's the 24 Bresci making up time on those newer tires.
What he does with Elwood here, maybe he just passes him, maybe he blocks him from getting out into pit road. Now the 83 wants to block the 5 from getting out into pit road. He pulls to the inside. Will he pit this time? No, they stay out again, so 5 might be able to break a little bit of a gap. If I was Terrian, I'd pit right now, but we don't know what the fuel and tire situation is like.
Yeah, Thomas Bresci is going to lead this race after this pit stop sequence. The question is, how long will he lead for? Does he have the pace? I think he does, and that's what concerns me for these other drivers, is that Bresci was not slow before. The challenge is, will those tires last at least well enough towards the end of the race, or will he, get the doors blown off that car in the closing laps by the cars on slightly fresher tires? That still has yet to be seen. Robert Kenny hits pit lane. So does Ryan Kish, Tom Bourne, and Zach Passon. They're all on pit road.
Braxton DeWeese from 5th is also going to come down to pit road. So finally we get some more drivers in the top 5, top 10 area to pit. DeWeese looks like to be the only one this time.
There's Tom Bourne and Robert Kenny leaving. Buchanan and Riley Thompson side by side. This is for 3rd on the racetrack, and Buchanan is fully alongside. This is the closest he's been since they made contact a few laps ago.
I think he still wants to try to do it right. He's going to send it in here. He's way more clear than he was last time. He'll get that position done. Riley Thompson, he cuts low, and immediately he cuts down to pit lane. Likely a brilliant move.
Yeah, that was a really good strategy call there for Riley Thompson. Down to pit road speed. 4 tires and fuel, I'm sure, for the 56 car. Past halfway, about 25 minutes of racing remaining. And the race leaders still stay out on the racetrack, and Bresci is just lapping right now. So Bresci's lead is going to be fairly significant, but we've seen time and time again, Connor, that undercut strategies don't really seem to work. You end up burning off your tires, and in the late stages of the race, you always get passed. But what could save Bresci is a caution, which we have not seen since lap number 2 as the leader hits pit lane.
He said over the radio that time by, and he does come that time by as Terrian retakes the lead and stays out another lap. Zach Buchanan comes down from 3rd position. I don't know if anyone else will follow, so we'll see where the 83 comes out, because it looks like everyone's going to be on different strategies. You'll have the 24 leading, you'll have the 5 on fresher tires, and positioning on the 83, but Terrian's going to have the fresher tires out of those guys.
So we expect Shane Terrian to pit next time by to reduce the opportunity for Elwood to undercut him here. He might even go longer.
He is. No, he's not. He's coming this time.
Yeah, good call there. Well, he will hit pit lane. The question now becomes, where is Thomas Bresci? There he is. And he should pretty easily take the lead of this race, but for how long is the question. He's also got some fairly significant front-end damage that is certainly not helping his pace tonight.
Meanwhile, Michael Stroll, I'm trying to see if Michael Stroll has even came down the pit road.
Nope.
He is the leader right now, so he's one of the last few people to stay out right now, so we'll see what he can do. Maybe he can trap a bunch of people to lap down.
Yeah, he's led a lap, and I think that's all he really needed to do. Grab that point, and now I expect to see this car hit pit lane.
Well, Terrian's still on pit road, actually still getting service here, as Bresci's already in turns 1 and 2 here. The 83 finally gets out of pit road, as Elwood is going to have a second or even more on him there.
So Thomas Bresci is going to lead Elwood by about 6 or 7 seconds at this point, once they cycle around. Curious to see how long Bressi can hang on for and if that damage is hurting him. As we approach 40 laps to go, your thoughts, Connor, on how long, what lap Bressi's going to get passed on, and do you think we're done with cautions yet?
I don't think we're done with cautions yet, but if we are, I think Alan Elwood made the race-winning move. He was the best on the longer run for sure. He was able to get by the 83 Terrian, and he beat Terrian on the pit road, which was very important. He was able to get even more track position between those two, as got a lap car between them. Stafford's going to get passed by the 83 though, but definitely a smart decision by Elwood, and we saw how fast he was when the tires got really worn. It's going to be tough for the 83 to get by him again.
Hayden Pistorius still on the racetrack with Nick Massey and Will Roberts and Casey Lakatos, the last few holdouts, hoping for a yellow flag. I don't think they're likely to get one now. Or they might be the yellow flag. Nick Massey's internet still not cooperating with him tonight.
It's better. You might want to just let him by and give up the track position. You don't want to be involved in a lag caution.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be a part of it. But he's going to have to stick up there. Couldn't pull in behind just yet. Whoa, Massey really loose at the exit of turn 4 as we hit lap number 60. Elwood and Munsell for 5th. And that will put Elwood officially 4.6 seconds behind Thomas Bressi. This gap is going to come down relatively quickly, so I think Bressi's only real chance here is if we get that caution flag. And then you can come down and pit. You've got that track position, but I think Elwood's the quickest car out here on the racetrack other than Shane Terrian. And Terrian's got some work to do to catch Elwood. He did not have a great pit stop sequence. Ended up was actually a little quicker on the overall sequence, but didn't make a lot of time on his outlap or in-lap. And has some work to catch Elwood.
Yeah, the 5 was locking him up going into the pits, so he likely gained time there. And like we keep talking about, he was faster on the longer run. It's going to be tough, even with a lap fresher tires. It's going to be tough for Terrian to gain that time back. He has 2 seconds to gain, and let alone gaining those seconds on him. You've got to pass him on the bottom, just like Elwood did to you. And we haven't seen many passes on the bottom, so he's going to have a long uphill climb in front of him.
Here's Thomas Bressi making a pass on Pistorius. This is for the lead. Again, Pistorius and Massey have not hit pit lane yet. I'll bet you this next lap they will make their pit stop, as Bressi will wrench the lead back away from them. And for Bressi, I believe that's his first lap led today, and indeed it is. He goes to the top spot.
It's about time for him. He's been running his top 3 pretty much the entire race, and now it's a matter of trying to maybe save a little bit of tire just so you can maybe have a chance of holding off Elwood, because you're going to have a tough time holding off fresher tires, let alone 2 or 3 drivers who are going to have fresher tires. So I think he's got to keep some in the bank, and maybe he'll have a shot at holding someone off.
Great look at the underside of the right front suspension on this car. New Hampshire's not a super smooth track by any sense, and you see all the compression that they go through into the braking zones for the corners. So about 20 minutes left in this race, and it is about only about a 2-second gap back to Alan Elwood now, so he is charging forward and running down that race leader, Thomas Bressi. Pistorius and Massey, I'd expect to see hit pit lane either this time or next, given that they've already lost that lead.
Just a Munsell. I think actually he hit extremely early compared to everyone else. He just got passed by Elwood and Tara, and he's back to 6th, and he's going to fall back a little bit farther, likely. Braxton DeWeese not too far behind, and people who kind of lost out on this sequence for the time being, Buchanan and Riley Thompson, they were, I think, battling for 4th and 5th, and now they're 8th and 9th. So that being said, Pistorius and Massey do still have to pit, but they did lose a little bit of track position in that time.
Justin Munsell and a couple other drivers like Braxton DeWeese pit way before them. So they're probably going to get those positions back later in this race, but it might not happen till much, much later. 2 seconds is the gap now between Bressi and Elwood as we come across the line to complete lap number 64. And Pistorius and Massey. Well, Massey's off course, but I think Pistorius is still out on track. No, Massey is still there.
He's trying to be there. He's trying his best. So is his internet. That's what matters.
And then Casey Lakatos, the last holdout here of the drivers who have not pit.
Lakatos? I think Lakatos has pit. Has he not?
I don't have it recorded. I don't think that
he hasn't. Now, it's been a tough day for him without a doubt in that case, because he has really been struggling.
Big pack of lap traffic up ahead for Thomas Bressi to negotiate here in the coming laps. The field is all spread out. We have not had a caution since, well, it's been over half an hour since we've seen our last yellow flag here in the New England 100 for the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series. Next week, we're heading to Indianapolis, Connor, the 2.5-mile oval in Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll be running the oval configuration. So that's a tricky racetrack that we haven't been to in a while in these cars. And then we head to Charlotte and then back to Sonoma for another road race on March 16th in Nashville, Talladega, Richmond, Dover, Vegas, Martinsville, and Chicagoland to finish out the rest of the season. here on Tuesdays at 8:50 Eastern on Sim TV. So lots still to come, and starting to shape up our championship battles. We're starting to see the front runners, Shane Terrian especially. If the only derailments he's going to have are on the road courses, he's looking pretty.
Yeah, excuse me. He's definitely looking pretty for a potential back-to-back championship season, as he's done a great job all season long so far. Obviously, last season he was great. Storrs is finally coming down the pit road, so he'll come down this time by. Nick Massey's still staying out, but he's done a great job all season long. He's the most consistent driver in the series, in my opinion. If he could just keep doing what he's been doing for the last season and a half, he will have an easy road to having a championship race on his hands.
Battle for the race lead in front. Thomas Bresci and Alan Elwood. Difference in the tire strategy here is 7 laps.
Let's see what Bresci does. Let's not forget the contact that happened between these two. So Bresci, I think, is going to remember that.
Pulls off the wall just a little bit. Elwood has a look up the inside for turn 1, can dive up in there. I'm not sure Bresci can do a whole lot. Connor, 7-lap difference is enough. That this should be pretty easy for Elwood.
But he's pinching him hard. He's doing everything he can to stay on his outside, and they might make contact, very close to making contact. That could have been both drivers in the wall, and I think the 5 will be able to send it hard here and make it work, but Bresci's going to send it hard too.
Yeah, he's going to try, just does not have the tire left to do it. Will Roberts prevents the crossover, so move Alan Elwood back to the race lead at the exit of turn 4, coming next time by to 30 laps to go.
The gap between him and Terrian has gone down. It's only a second now, so Terrian has essentially chopped it in half, but like you say again, making the pass is a whole nother story, especially at a track as flat and as sort of one grooved as this. So if Terrian has anything, he's got to go now.
Oh, Bresci crashed on the back straightaway.
No yellow, he's off the track. He's going to have to get it back going, though. A huge mistake there. I think that was Will Roberts who might have gotten into him. He's going to have to back up through the grass. I don't know if he can go.
Stuck against the fence there on the back straightaway. No caution flag. And he's trying to get back rolling.
He's going backwards. This might bring out the yellow if he doesn't get to go straight. He will go straight, and we stay green, and that's definitely race over for him.
That is brutal. Coming down, he's got Will Roberts behind him here. Roberts is trying to get a lap back.
And Roberts I think he's just going to get loose here. We'll be able to see.
Yeah, just gets loose, comes off the wall, and tags Bresci. Wrong place, wrong time. Doesn't hit anything, but that's disastrous for Bresci, who is probably going to finish top 5 at worst, and now buried down in 15th place. And he's got to be livid that the caution didn't come out.
Yeah, he's livid of a bunch of things. The incident with Elwood, the incident with Will Roberts, the pit strategy not working, the rear front end that's completely destroyed. It's gone from, pretty good to bad to just completely over. He's probably completely over it, and he's probably going to be battling to try to stay on the lead lap now with older tires that he's spun out with, so it's going to be tough for him.
This is teammate in the Raise Energy Chevrolet Camaro approaching from behind. That's Casey Shue. And following. And JT Motorsports with that collision. Highest running driver they have is now Tyler Hensley in 13th place. So that very quickly took that team from being in contention today to being far out of it.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate situation. A lot of the team, Bresci's usually the top driver in that team. He's obviously done a great job the seasons he's been in, getting the wins he has, always competing for a championship, it seems like. But definitely nothing good really going to happen today. The only thing that's going to happen is probably a fight in the pits, fight in the garage with 2 separate drivers. So that might be good to get an eye on.
The virtual garage for sure. Brad Slaughter Jr. still recovering from his slide earlier. Getting note that Chad Simpson's departure from the race was due to a power outage. Of course, the winter polar vortex that just struck a bunch of the Midwest, I'm sure, had a part in that for Chad Simpson. Chad out of Texas, so that's actually, that's actually where a lot of the power outages are, so that makes sense. Unfortunately for Chad, that will end his day. Justin Munsell running in 3rd right now, this number 98. He was not at Daytona, but he has shown up and been an instant competitor here in this series. Big slide at a turn 4. He's driving on the right rear. And looking at the points picture, trying to see where he is. And all the way down in 40th in the points. He's only made 1 start. That was actually at the Charlotte Roval. So still he's a couple races behind for sure, but making his presence known as Buchanan goes by for 3rd place and bringing, there's the 9-car Pistorius, who's a lap down into the mix.
Also hit earlier than almost everyone. Buchanan trying to squeeze him to the wall. They're going to be 3 wide. That's going to be tough to do. The 98 stays on his outside. They're going to be 3 wide into turn number 1. Is anyone going to give? Not a chance as they stay 3 wide as the 9 gets by both of them. And I think the 40 will have the run out of 2.
That was just enough room for them not to hook each other and end up in the fence, but moved Buchanan up to 4th place, or third place. Moved Munsell back to 4th. Braxton DeWeese is a half a second back from this group. The Zimmerman Concrete Chevrolet Camaro. Good night for the 1 car. Started 6th, and he's been quietly running back here. Not a scratch on that machine, and he might have a chance at finishing podium here if he could get past these 2 fighting in front.
Been a solid run for him so far. Almost had contact in the back. Shane Terrian almost got cleaned out by David Mott Jr. That was very close to being a disaster. But yeah, DeWeese has had a good run. He's got fresh tires, and he's got everyone in front of him but the top 2, so he might have a shot at that podium that you were talking about. He's pretty much stayed where he started, 6th to 5th right now.
There was that look at David Mott Jr. locking up the tires almost. Got into the back of the 83 of Shane Terrian. Now, I'm interested at looking at these 2 leaders because look at Terrian. His last lap was a 32.781. The race leader, Elwood, who pit before him, 32.355. So that 5 car is actually pulling away and expanding that lead, which is opposite of what you would expect, given that Terrian pit later. But he didn't pit that much later, Connor, and that's the key difference. Doesn't have a big enough advantage on Elwood.
Yeah, and it's not even close right now. Last time by 32.3, then a 32.7 by Terry, and it's not even close right now. You'd think Terry would at least have a little bit of an advantage, but he just doesn't. He doesn't have the pace to keep up with him. He's dealing with Mott Jr. on his bumper, but at the same time, that 83 on the long run just doesn't have what Alan Elwood does.
Are slow on the front straightaway. It's Will Roberts. Looked like he was a little slow, but he got it throttled back up to speed. Here's Tom Bourne, Nick Massey, and Casey Lakatos. Lakatos is not for position here. Tom Bourne and the 20 of Nick Massey are. Finney DeCuna up in 12th. Talked at length about struggles that he had at the Roval, and I say that sort of in passing because he finished 14th at the Roval, which isn't all that bad, but his finishes, he had a 7th at Auto Club and a 10th at Daytona. But 12th and 14th are mediocre at best. I think he's just looking to finish this one out and get through it. Maybe looking more forward next week to Indianapolis to get back on track.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to going to maybe a track that he kind of cherishes more, and he might be more comfortable at a track like Indy, so we'll have to wait and see. But he was definitely in line for a much better finish at the Roval. Things happen sometimes that you can't control. He definitely couldn't control the car going into turn 1, the heartburn turn, but he'll definitely have another good shot next week to get a better run.
Here's Pistorius and Will Roberts fighting for 20th. Move the 9 car to the spot. Will Roberts back 1.
Pistorius has some of the freshest tires in the field. He's trying to get up far enough where he might have a shot at the Lucky Dog. Right now, Lucky Dog positions Brad Slaughter Jr. It's about to change. Ryan Kish is about to go a lap down, but he's not giving Elwood much room.
Yeah, Ryan Kish trying to hold off. Kish is actually 2 laps down. The car that is about to go a lap down is Robert Kenny in the 34. But Elwood is being held up a little bit, and it's not going to matter a whole lot. Terrian is just struggling badly on those tires. Not going to make up any ground here. Nick Massey hits pit lane. Thomas Bresci looked like he was slow for a moment. I think he was just rolling through turns 3 and 4.
That might have been the first time. Yeah, I think that is the first time. He went 80 laps on that one set of tires. It's kind of surprising. But he didn't get the yellow he needed whatsoever as we're just under 20 to go.
Yeah, this is a battle for the last lap, or the last driver on the lead lap. That's Casey Shue in the Rays car and Robert Kenny in the 34. Both of these drivers on the lead lap. They'd like to stay there. With Elwood going to take them maybe 3 wide, or is he going to be patient here? I don't think he's feeling that big of a rush. But Casey Shue is going to lose a spot here, and he's going to go a lap down.
He's got to be patient. A 3.5-second lead right now. He has no reason to push the issue. He's just got to wait for these guys to sort each other out and just follow everyone around. He's got no reason to push anyone.
He's now led 17 laps. I don't think he can lead the most. I think Terrian would own that, 52. He led more than half, so Shane Terrian will get that point for leading the most laps. And he will likely wrench the points lead back away from the 56 of Riley Thompson, given that they came in with a 1-point separation, and Thompson is back in 6th. Throw the halfway points into that mix, and Terrian will almost certainly walk out of here with the points lead. Elwood will probably gain some on Bronson Stafford, who we haven't really talked about a whole lot today, because Stafford is running all the way down in 20th, just absolute non-factor today, which is so strange given that this season his worst finish was 26th at Daytona. Then it was all 3 top 10s following that, with 2/3 in that group. So just strangely slow for the 60 or the 61 car today. Excuse me.
Yeah, he said before this race he absolutely hates this track, so it's no surprise that he just absolutely struggled all day today. I don't think he's even been involved in any incidents. That car looks pretty much clean, but just does not have any speed right now. He just can't figure out how to get around this track. It's a tricky track if you don't understand it. It's one track that if you're not good at it, you are absolutely frustrated because it seems so simple. Just a flat 1 mile track, and when you're bad at it, you just kind of want to punch someone or something. That's kind of probably how Stafford feels right now.
It can be pretty frustrating, to say the least. I remember back here when I was learning how to drive this track, Connor, I found how line sensitive it was. I picked up 0.3 of a second by moving about 2 feet to the right and running slightly higher. It's so finicky to find the fast line around here. I just find it incredibly frustrating to run. But drivers that figure it out, they like it here. Drivers that can't figure it out, it's a nightmare situation here in Loudon.
Yeah, it's definitely a nightmare for a lot of people. I've never liked the track that much. I feel like I might have decent speed at it, but it's not a track I would run over tracks like even 1.5 miles I'd prefer over New Hampshire. It's just a really tough track to pass at. It can frustrate the heck out of you if you're not able to do it correctly. You might have to use the bumper. You might end up using the bumper. You might end up getting people very upset at you, and you might end up into a fence, or maybe over the fence into a road course area on the back stretch. So it'll be very tough if you're just not up to speed here like the 61 is.
You know, one interesting thing to note about the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series, have a look here on the left side of the screen. No Fords in the top 15, only 2 Fords in this entire race, which is so strange because almost every oval series that is broadcast on Sim TV, there's a heavy reliance on the Chevrolet and Ford models, but not a lot of Toyotas generally. This series is exactly the opposite. I think Toyotas outnumber almost all the other cars combined. Very strange car classification, car choice in this series. A lot of those Supras out here.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you'll see anywhere else. You don't even really see that in official racing that much. Just Supras. You know, it's definitely a sporty looking car. The front end, some paint schemes just look better with that front end on that Supra, and I think maybe that's why a lot of people run it. But it is definitely a fast car, and a lot of fast drivers use it. Obviously, the reigning series champion Terrian running that Supra, and a bunch of others. They just kind of outnumber everyone in this series, and it's definitely rare because you think NASCAR, you don't think people like Toyota, but that's definitely the case in this series.
And 2 Ford Mustangs in the field, one of them Boomer Logan back in 22nd. He was the cause of our first caution today, running in 22nd. He'd like to forget this afternoon. The other Ford, David Mott Jr., in 14th in the Crown Royal car.
Yeah, Calvin Filarski was also a Ford, but he obviously kind of just parked it for the day pretty early on. Only 2 retirees, didn't even talk about that. Although Will Roberts did go off the track too long, though. So Calvin Filarski, Chad Simpson, Will Roberts, the only cars off track right now. Still got 27 others running.
Braxton DeWeese, as we close in on 10 laps to go, is closing in on 4th place Justin Munsell.
Also at the same time, Riley Thompson's closing in on him. So that could become an issue as well. These drivers are going to converge with each other. It's going to be a very tight battle for that 4th position. Buchanan, I think he's gotten away from everyone at this point.
Yeah, Buchanan drove away. There's Brad Slaughter Jr. pulling offline. Not the day that he would have wanted. He was running much better before he had that incident on the back straightaway that sent him through the dirt. Riley Thompson, though, keeping the pressure on Braxton DeWeese. This could be a 3-car fight for 4th place.
This is really the only intense battle, I would say, at this time. If there's going to be a yellow, you're probably looking at that line right now. As the only other yellow I could see happening is maybe if Alan Elwood gets the lap Thomas Bresci here and maybe something goes wrong. But I don't know if Bresci's willing to do something like that controversial. We got 10 laps to go to see what happens.
And quite the turnaround from the last time we were here in August. Lots of drama and a handful of caution flags in that race. And big crashes on the back straightaway that led to a whole bunch of interesting situations. But today it's been pretty calm, cool, and collected. A couple damaged race cars, but only 1 caution. As Braxton DeWeese looks at Munsell, but Riley Thompson is keeping an eye on both of them through turn 1. Here's his view.
The problem with a track that you have to run the middle or high line, if you want to make a pass, you obviously have to go to the bottom or use the bumper. If you go to the bottom and there's a guy right behind you, you risk losing a position after trying to gain a position. So it's a tough position for someone like Braxton DeWeese to be in because you might have Riley Thompson just completely take that position away from you if you're not careful. But you got a big run through the center 3 before he's able to take that position back. Munsell going to try to cross over.
Yeah, he got loose out of turn 4 though, but he actually managed to get the power down. And going to try to squeeze back up in the outside lane, but couldn't do it. Thompson going to go the long way around here. And once you get to the outside, you should be able to carry the momentum. But Munsell gets a great run, but look at Thompson just going to drive up off the corner at the exit of turn 2 and get a fantastic run, but nowhere to go with DeWeese in front.
Going to try his best to just finally get clear of that 98, but the 98 holding strong on that bottom. A little bit of grip down there. that we didn't see earlier. 98 trying to push that 56 up the track, just can't make it work. He's coming up the track a bit too much still. They might go up, and they somehow didn't hit. Unbelievable race.
Hanging it out sideways at the exit at turn 4, but Munsell gives up the spot to Riley Thompson. How about that? That was fun to watch as they came out of turn 4. Watch this. Watch the 98 car and watch the hands inside that cockpit. Right here, he's going to start going back to the right. Big correction back to the right under power. That was awesome to watch.
56 of Thompson, he was just barely struggling to get the power down as well, trying to make sure he didn't get into the wall or something. That's just great stuff right there. Big battle for a top 5 position as Thompson's trying to get the 4th now.
Yeah, Braxton Weiss just got 4th place away from the 98. Now he's got to defend with 6 laps to go from last week's winner, Riley Thompson.
I don't know. These two are kind of even on pace. 98's been struggling, but these two are pretty even. I don't know if the 56 wants to bump him, he can, but he's struggling getting off the corner right now. So if he wants to get to that bumper, it's going to be tough.
5 laps to go for the race leader, Alan Elwood. And this is a warning shot, I think, to a whole bunch of people. Elwood did win a race already this season. It was back at Rockingham, which is also a 1-mile oval. And these kind of intermediate tracks, Connor, we go to a handful more of them. We've got Richmond on April 6th, got Dover on April 13th, and I guess you could throw Nashville Speedway into that mix as well. Elwood is going to be a threat on the smaller ovals this year. And if he hasn't made that clear already, he's going to make it clear again today. And he'll be the only driver, I believe, to have won multiple races this season.
Time to look at that in the standings. He would be the only one. Everyone else just has 1 win, so he'd be the first repeat winner of the season. So that would be definitely big to put your foot down as being the first one to do that. And it'll definitely be, it'll be interesting to see if he can get more because he's been strong almost everywhere he goes, but especially, like you said, at these shorter tracks.
And pretty much a sprinkling other than the road course at Watkins Glen, or excuse me, Sonoma, coming up in a few weeks. There's Talladega on there, but the rest of it's pretty much just, you know, intermediates and smaller, which is really good news for a guy like Alan Elwood. 3 laps to go for them, and Braxton Weiss trying to run away from Riley Thompson, who has taken his time here but is running out of it.
Yeah, they've actually both been catching Buchanan the last couple of laps, but obviously no time to get there unless Buchanan makes a big mistake or something happens. And I don't think Thompson can get there unless he wants to use that bumper. And Munsell just has nothing to work with right now. It's finally coming to 2 laps to go.
Yeah, 2 miles left here in the New England 100. 98 miles complete. 2 remaining. Tyler Hensley, Thomas Bresci trading spots here right in front of the race leader, Alan Elwood. They're going to probably fight him here a little bit. Still the chance for a caution until we get back to the stripe, at which point the checkered flag will end this race. But Elwood actually going to leave them some space. He's got a 6-second gap and going to let them run another lap to sort it out.
I think he saw one of them was the 24, and I think he's making sure he doesn't get involved in anything.
As for 4th place, Braxton Weiss and Riley Thompson still duking it out. Finian DeCuna and Tom Bourne fighting for 10th. But on the front straightaway, white flag for Alan Elwood in the number 5. And other battles happening around the racetrack, including the one for 4th here, Connor.
Thompson's on his bumper. If he wants to use it, he can. As Weiss really sent it into the corner. He sent it too far. It's going to let Thompson get right under him here.
Side by side for 4th place, DeWeese and Thompson. Up front, though, no challengers for Alan Elwood. He's going to come out of turn 4 and race win number 2 on the 2021 season. Alan Elwood goes to victory lane. Terry in 2nd. Where's Riley Thompson and DeWeese out of turn 4? Side by side, Thompson, winner from last week, is going to squeeze ahead of DeWeese as they come to the line. 4th for the 56 last lap pass.
Surprised he got there. Munsell gets that 6th position. I thought the 1 had him, but he just drove it in too far in the 1.
DeCuna leading on Tom Bourne out of turn 4. This is for 10th. Drag race back to the line here. Bourne on the outside, DeCuna on the inside. Bourne takes 10th spot.
That could have been very disastrous. That got insanely close as well, but they're able to make it work for those positions. Davey Hendricks is 12th. Bresci all the way back in 13th, and his teammate Hensley, the last lead lap finisher, in 14th.
Alan Elwood goes to victory lane for the first time since Rockingham, only a week removed. His 2nd win on the season. Started 4th, finished 1st. And did not lead the most laps, Connor, but he led the ones that mattered, the ones at the end. 35 laps of this 100-lap race. And Shane Terrian led the most, but comes home 2nd. Just lost the pace, didn't have it. Didn't have it for Elwood, and the 5 car's going to go to victory lane.
Might have dinged the front bumper doing that burnout on the concrete wall there, but he doesn't care. That's a race-winning car if I've ever seen one, and it was a really good drive. He was able to make I thought he was going to win it on pit road, but he made the tough pass on track on Shane Terry, and that ended up being the pass for the race win. He obviously passed Bresci afterwards, but that pass on the 83 was what got the victory lane.
Nicely done, and celebrating with those burnouts. The Elwood Designs number 5 Supra goes to victory lane. Here is a look at your race results here, Connor. It's going to start with Alan Elwood, the driver doing the burnout on the front straight. Shane Terry in second place in the race, but he should take the points lead back, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely all that matters. I bet he wishes he was a bit closer to Elwood, especially on the long run, but just didn't have it. Buchanan and Riley Thompson were together all race. They're in fourth. DeWeese, Munsell, Stroll, good runs. Danny Ware, really good run for him as well as Zach Pass and Tom Bourne rounding out that top 10.
And moving on to the next page here, that's Finian DeCuna in the number 94. Considering how bad he was feeling about his race tonight, he ended up having a pretty good result at the end. Davey Hendricks, 12th, Bresci, 13th. Crashed, could have finished top 5. That's a missed opportunity for the 24 car. Finishes right in front of his teammate, Tyler Hensley. And Casey Shue, the new sponsor on board, 20th in the number 4 car.
A decent run for David Mott Jr. 16th is pretty solid for him. Hayden Pistorius wished he could have done better in 17th. Nick Massey looked fast, but didn't have the internet to hold up in the top 5. He ends up getting 18th after all that. Stafford really struggled. That's definitely not one he's going to remember. He's going to finish 19th.
And the rest of the field here, Brad Slaughter Jr., trouble early for him, as with Boomer Logan and Sam Crow, never able to recover. Casey Lakatos dropped 2 laps down, didn't catch what led to that. But Brent Jones and Ryan Kish rounding out the rest of your field. Will Roberts unofficially 28th. A couple more drivers that dropped off the timing and scoring screen. Chad Simpson out. Power loss down there in Texas. Filarski, John Van Verelles, and Mike Rigney running out the rest of the field. We're going to pull in our 3rd place driver. It was Zach Buchanan that came home in 3rd. Zach, after last week's late race incident, I'm sure you're glad to get one done in the top 5 tonight. Strong run, just didn't quite have the pace of the leaders. Take us through your night.
Yeah, that was good. That was a lot of fun, and I'm really happy with how I did. Took me longer than I hoped to pass Riley. I was quicker than him in that first run, I think, but it's so hard to pass around here. But it was fun. I think I would have just had something more for the leaders if I pit earlier and got around Riley sooner.
Well, next week we head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, kind of a shift back to some of the faster racetracks and a larger racetrack there. How do you feel about your chances at the big oval in Indy?
I'm not sure. I haven't raced quite as much there. It's been a while, but I'm looking forward to it. If it's anything like this week, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
All right, Zach Buchanan comes home 3rd place tonight for starting in 7th. Zach, congratulations. Good luck to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you. Moving on to Shane Terry, who led the most laps tonight, but after the pit stop just didn't have the pace to run down Alan Elwood. Shane, missed opportunity on the strategy there, or still pretty happy to come out 2nd and potentially the points lead again?
I think I was just in clean air too long that I got so used to it, because once I got to lap cars and first run, Alan really caught me, and then after the second pit stop, I couldn't find my braking point, because I don't know if it was the draft pulling me or the dirty air, but I kept missing my mark. It killed my right front tire.
So obviously the race didn't end the way you wanted, but looking at the big picture, Shane, you should come out leading the points. Is that really the goal here, or are you just trying to get those race wins because it'll take care of itself if you do?
It was the goal last year just to have the points lead, so I mean, I'll take it. I really wanted to win at my home track. I know I finished, I think 3rd last season, so I one position better. So maybe next time I'll win. I don't know. But yeah, just points. That's all I really wanted. So what got me the championship last year, so.
Well, points racing for Shane Terry is going to work out pretty good. Should take back the points lead. Best of luck to you next week at Indianapolis.
Thank you.
And Alan Elwood, the first multiple race winner this season, that number 5 Elwood Designs Supra. Alan started 4th, finished 1st. Didn't lead the most laps, but you led where it counted. Got the lead on that undercut in the pit lane and ended up just leading out from there and just drove away. Take us through your night, that strategy call and working through lap traffic to get your 2nd win of the season.
Yeah, the first like 20-25 laps of that green run to start, I felt like I was struggling a little bit compared to the front 2. And just kind of observing a little bit of what they were doing, I found that I was entering the corner too high, so I kind of went down a little bit farther, entered a little more mid-track, and set my brake bias just a little bit different. I was able to get the center of the corner hooked so much better. At that point then, once the tires get worn in, I was able to basically go full throttle coming off the exit, which I think helped in terms of trying to get the run to try to pass those guys. So basically at that point, once I got the lead, I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and pit here, split it in half. And I knew that Bresci was going to have a decent-sized lead, but I felt like with the tire wear, I would be able to, catch him pretty quick. And lap traffic probably has a little bit to do with that too, especially once you start getting these green runs. It's, the track is full of traffic. So just, trying to manage the traffic, tire wear, and, keep the lead, and we pulled it off.
Alan Elwood, winner for the second time this season, jumps up to third on the finals grid for Fuel. Congratulations, Alan. Good luck to you next week at Indianapolis. Connor, final thoughts on New Hampshire Motor Speedway and New England 100 before we head to Indy next week.
I think every one of the keys that we had kind of came into play. We briefly talked about the shifting. Some did, some didn't. And obviously the bumpers were used at times. They were used on the second lap, actually. Some peppers did flare. Some drivers got a little bit hot under that helmet. And obviously track position came into play. The drivers who started at the front pretty much finished in the front. You had a few drivers get from a back-end starting position up into the top 10, top 15, but all in all, it was really hard to pass, and I think everyone who finished where they did deserved to finish where they did, except for a few, and Alan Elwood was definitely the best today. Short run, he was fast. Long run, he was even faster. He definitely deserved this one today.
New England 100 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway is complete. We look forward to seeing you again next week at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 6th round of the season, the Brickyard 150, a 60-lap run on February 23rd at 8:50 Eastern. My name's Kyle Heyer with Connor Horn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on Sim TV. Catch us tomorrow night at 8 Eastern for the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League from Lime Rock Park.